Oh, dear me, cough. Now then, how are you diddling? Excellent, me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, my 3 times a week live show, trying to help you get onto your content creation journey. For those of you who have no idea what on earth you've just clicked to watch, my name is Simon Scholes. I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency, and we help brands and businesses create content that helps them stand out on social media. However, a few years ago, it became very obvious to me that not every brand, not every business had necessarily endless amounts of budget to spend and have content created for them on a regular basis by agencies like us. So I wanted to still help them. So what could I do to help? I sat down, I came up with a process. It was kind of bastardizing lots of stuff other people had been talking about, stuff I talked about myself for years. Called it How to 9 Times Your Social Media. I turned it into a book. It went to #1. You can still get hold of it now. And it takes you through from everything that is marketing planning right through to podcasting and all the stuff that happens in between. And it's basically about making your content work harder for yourself. And that's what these lives have been about all the way through lockdown, probably back through the next lockdown that we're about to drop into. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but you just never know. And yeah, just trying to help you get onto that content creation journey. Start making stuff yourself for free. My favorite 4-letter word, especially being a Yorkshireman. And speaking of being a Yorkshireman, why don't I speak to a fellow Yorkshireite? We've got Ed, who's joining us this morning. Morning, Ed.
Afternoon, actually.
oh, blimey, yeah, no, it is, isn't it? Afternoon. So you've been on the podcast before, but for those of people who are watching right now and they've no idea who you are, what it is you do, just spout a bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, it's true. I am a Yorkshireman. That was a lovely introduction, Simon. Thank you very much for that. But now I studied sports journalism at university for 3 years, and alongside it, I was running my own brand called All Things Leeds, which is basically just a Leeds United's fan channel news output, really. So we just inform fans of what's happening at Ellen Road. And yeah, we do have our own podcast, got our own website with our own blog, do YouTube videos, and that's really taken off. Actually, I launched it in 2017, and yeah, it's doing quite well. So yeah, happy with that. Now, obviously, I just graduated university, so I'm trying to get some work out there, get my name out there. So yeah, it's a tough world out there right now with all the coronavirus. So yeah, hopefully everyone's doing all right.
Yeah, that's how I was going to ask you. How was graduation? Because I don't know anybody who, apart from yourself, who's graduated this year. So how did the university handle that with you guys? Or have you had a ceremony at all? Or
no ceremony at all. They were trying to hold off for one, but I don't think a ceremony is going to happen anytime soon, especially now with coronavirus cases going up and this 6-month plan that the government's got in place. So I don't think a graduation ceremony is going to happen this year anyway. I don't even know if there's going to be one next year, which is quite sad, to be honest, because yeah, some people at university was on course with who the last time I saw him was in March, and I never knew that it was going to be the last time. So it is quite sad, and it was a bit difficult to finish the course without going into university, getting some one-on-one help. It was all remote, so that was a bit difficult, but got it finished to the end, which I'm pleased about, and got the degree, which is all that matters.
Brilliant, and that's the main thing as well. So you are now a qualified journalist, and you can go out into the world and write about all things journalism and all things news and all things COVID. So obviously, Leeds United. Last time we spoke, they were still in the Championship. They're now in the Premiership. And you've been watching the lives on a regular basis, taking things away and implementing stuff yourself. How have you? Do you think social media's helped the podcast grow? Because the podcast's grown quite nicely. Do you think social media's helped with that, or do you think the fact that Leeds have now bumped themselves into the Premiership, or do you think it's a good amalgamation of everything that's kind of helped bring what you do as a brand to the forefront and make people aware of who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, well, I certainly think that being in the Premier League has, got a lot more eyes on things of, Leeds United playing well in the Premier League this season. So a lot more people are taking notice. And yeah, I mean, Premier League is, it's a global
Still
league.
beat Liverpool. Anyway.
The Premier League is, 7-2, Simon, come on. The Premier League, it's a global league. It's worldwide, everyone knows it. So people are going to take interest. And when Leeds United are getting decent results against Manchester City, then people are always going to look at that and, and look, see if there's any content creators, get some of their thoughts. Because I watch other, sports fans create content, Birmingham City fans and Norwich City fans are, I watch a lot of other content creators who support different clubs just to get, some fan opinions. So if you like football, then yeah, why not? But obviously social media, it definitely does help the growth, 100%. There's no one would have been able to find it without some sort of advertisement on social media, not at all really. So social media is a key part in getting people, to see it and to look at it and think, right, I'll give it a listen, because you can easily just go into a podcast platform and search Leeds United, Leeds United podcast, and it may come up there, but unless you've actually seen something about it and you've been recommended it by people, and then you're not going to just listen to an hour of a podcast you've never even heard before. So social media advertising on there is definitely being a key thing.
And do you think it's opened any doors? Have you had anything new happen within the podcast, like interviews with people working at Leeds and that kind of stuff? Do you think that's open? It's opened a few more doors, especially with lockdown and people not being able to play and then not being able to have crowds watch the matches. They're kind of wanting to reach out and touch the community a little in slightly different ways now. Are they reaching out to people like yourself and other creators more often?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, I've been asked to go on a few, just help out with some other people's, content and their work as well. So, and also, for us as well, ex-players there are all stuck at home now, so they're wanting to just talk about stuff with other people. So it has opened a few doors to getting some more people on. I've got StreamYard, which is the software you're using right now, Simon, and it's very good. Definitely worth the money if you're gonna live stream and use it a lot. It's definitely worth the money. It is quite expensive, but it is worth it if you're going to use it. And that's enabled me to do much better live streams after each game, which I can bring on other people onto it. When Leeds United got promoted, I did a 2-hour-long live stream and got all kinds of fans onto it. I got a guy called Andy McVeigh, also known as the Burley Banksy, who does a lot of Leeds United artwork around the city, and he's got a big following. So I got a lot of fans on the live stream, so that's opened a few doors to people, because people are that majority of the time they're just stuck at home and they just want to talk with some different people, and so it has opened to a few doors of bringing other people onto the podcast, but then also me being asked to help out with other people as well.
And do you think that you would maybe do more of that? Because obviously that's a great way of collaborating, getting more people. I was just chatting to somebody this morning about it. Collaboration, especially at the start of hair brand at the moment, but at any point in the brand, it's a really useful tool. You collaborate with other creators, but also getting other people onto your podcast so that they can go, hey guys, I was on Ed's podcast chatting about XYZ, Ellen Road being crap and we need to have a new stadium, or I don't know. But you know what I mean? So do you think that will kind of help and maybe do more of that kind of stuff in the future?
Yeah, I mean, collaborations are very important, especially if you're wanting to grow. You can reach out to people who have a bigger following than you. Obviously, not take the piss, but obviously, with them being on your platform, it will help the growth somewhat. So, it's always good to make friends with other people in the market and collaborate with people. It's very important. And definitely with all the live streaming capabilities now, it's a very useful tool to have now, and especially going forward, I will certainly be looking to do more live streams. If I'm able to go back into the radio studio at any point and record a podcast, I'll still be doing stuff remotely. So definitely has opened a few more doors to being able to there's other ways now to interview people. You don't have to go and meet them. There's a way of just meeting up online and recording something.
Yeah, definitely. So congratulations are in order. You just won an award. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I did well. I knew nothing about it really. So basically, in the third year of
all the best awards, yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, the third year of university, we had a module where we had to, launch our own brand, our own website, do blogs, do videos, and just build a portfolio basically for when we leave university. And I already had my All Things Leeds that I launched in 2017. So I thought, well, that's perfect. I can just, put that forward and I can spend more time and put more focus into something that, I love doing and I've been doing for many years. So that was very exciting for me. And that whole project went into a competition which I knew nothing about, and basically the Yorkshire Evening Post, a very big newspaper here in Leeds and in Yorkshire, they had a little competition with university students like myself who did my kind of module, just running their own website. They picked out the best ones. I was in the top 5 and ended up winning the whole entire thing, which was a really nice surprise. I just got an email one day in, I think it was September, just saying I'd won this. I'm going to get a certificate. I'm going to get an article written about me in the YEP, and I'm going to get a week's remote work experience. So that was a very nice surprise. So that was very cool. And yesterday got an article written about me in the YEP, which is just insane. I'm not sure it's not going to go to the top of the website. Let's just get that out there, but it's certainly very cool to look at. And it's certainly, people who will read it, they'll, I've already gotten a few more new followers. So, it's definitely, a free advertisement, and, get my name out there as well, which is great because it is a tough world out there with jobs. So, the more things to put on the CV and show employers, and then, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so have you done the remote work experience with the Yorkshire Evening Post yet as well?
Yeah, I did it 2 weeks ago. Got getting loads of articles out in that week, and I got some really good feedback as well. So that was very cool. So definitely will be doing some more work experience at the YEP, and hopefully something comes of that. But right now I'm just doing as much work as I possibly can, really volunteering. Obviously continuing with the All Things Leeds website, and just trying to get as much work out there as possible, and hopefully something comes up with that. But alongside as well, I'm doing a teaching degree, which I think will just be really good and useful to have, because I was always going to do a teaching degree, and I thought, well, there's barely any jobs at the moment, so I thought, well,
better time than ever.
Yeah, exactly. So get on a teaching course, get me next year sorted, and then next summer hopefully there's a lot more options out there for me. So just cracking on.
Just doing your thing. So I don't want to go too dark and too deep into this, but in the past when I've been going live, obviously you've asked questions about those times you don't want to be on social media, you just want to step away and kind of just clear your head, you kind of dark clouds kind of thing. And we've all had that over the last few months and stuff. So what have been your struggles with social media, especially over lockdown, because it's been a very difficult time?
Yeah, it has. I think just seeing, other people, just having fun, and you're still stuck at home. Really, that's been a big thing. You also get caught up with numbers. I know that I try not to focus on numbers, but if all you're doing, is just doing social media and everything, because that's the only thing that you're able to do, and then you do get caught up in all the numbers, and if you're not getting good enough numbers, then it can it can affect you badly. So it's been tough during lockdown, and over the years as well, just for social media in general. And I think that it is good to just take some time away from social media every now and then. Take a week or two away from it, and just recharge your batteries, refresh your mind. Take a little break, go on a few walks, and just refresh. Really, I think it's important to do that from time to time.
Yeah, but do you then, when you do step away, because one of the things I say about is being prevalent, even when you're not able to necessarily be there, do you spend time, go, right, okay, I'll sit down with Hootsuite, Buffer, whatever it might be, I'll schedule a bunch of stuff. It might not be as much as I would normally put out, but I will schedule a bunch of stuff to go out so that I've still got that relevance. People always say, oh, well, if somebody's going to forget about me within a couple of weeks, then so be it. And I'm like, well, but that's not how you keep building a brand. So
yeah,
do you try and still stay relevant in that way, even though, like I say, it's not organic and it's not you necessarily reaching out to people, but still schedule stuff?
Yeah, I do. I schedule as much as I can, really. Even if I'm active on social media, obviously with being a news outlet source of Leeds United, it's quite hard just to take a few weeks off. So I will just now and then, if a big news story has happened, I will go make a Photoshop file of picture of the news and just stick it out, and then that's it, and then go away from social media again. So I do need to try to keep on top of it as much as possible. But mostly I just schedule things and see when they go out, and then when I get back to social media, just see how they did. But definitely scheduling things is a big help. And obviously I'd probably go to someone like you as well if I was going to take maybe a month off social media. I'd probably go to someone like you and say, like, this is the kind of stuff I want to put out. Will you be able to do it for me?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the interviews I've done. I'm trying to do regular ones on a Wednesday, and I was chatting to a guy called Skinny Jean Gardner the other day. He was the former gardener on Blue Peter and stuff, and really interesting chat. And one of the things he's done, I was flitting through his social media channels the other day, and he's deleted everybody he follows. He literally follows nobody now, so that when he goes onto social media, it's purely to do his thing, and then he steps away and goes off and does all this other stuff, which I think is quite an interesting way of getting around all the politics and the crap that seem to keep, because everyone's going to have differing views about different things, and I've got people. I'm not so overzealous. I will delete people just because they think coronavirus is fake or what have you, or saying other things. Obviously, it depends on what they're saying, but I'm not that way inclined necessarily to delete. Is that something you consider yourself? Maybe is just like removing everybody?
No, certainly not everybody. I do from time to time just go ahead and just unfollow a load of people who, I'm not interested in their tweets anymore. You follow over 1,000 people on Twitter, I'm sure. So that,
Yeah.
I don't know how you keep up with everything, really. So yeah, I'm on the Twitter account of the All Things Leeds, my brand. I only follow about 50 people in there or so. Just some important people who if I need to see their stuff, then I can always go in there and I can easily find it. Yeah, I don't go and unfollow everyone. I do unfollow some people from time to time, and I don't go on unfollow sprees.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, he literally follows one person, but I think it's a really cool way around it. If it is
100%.
Where people, because you go onto TikTok and then you go, I'll just pop on for 5 minutes, and 3 hours later you're still scrolling through.
It's funny. Yeah, you go onto TikTok at 3 o'clock for 5 minutes, and the next time you look at the clock, it's 6 o'clock, and you're like, oh, blimey.
Dinner time. So what's the future for the podcast then? I mean, we're still in this weird situation. You're not able to get yourself to Ellen Road. So is the plan to try and, obviously the plan is to grow, but is the plan to try and maybe get more actual current stuff, starting chatting to like the manager, the players, that kind of thing? I mean, do you think there's that potential on the horizon?
Yeah, well, chatting to managers and players, I think will be quite hard to get. But chatting to ex players and ex managers and journalists, local journalists, Leeds United journalists, that's definitely a thing that I've looked at. I'm definitely going to start doing more just one-on-one interviews and just sticking them out. I'd usually bring someone onto the podcast, but yeah, I think I'd probably start doing a lot more of interviews really and sticking them on the podcast feed. As well as just on YouTube and Facebook, so I think that would help, just sticking some interviews out just by themselves.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the audio is the big passion, or do you reckon you'll kind of air into the written side of things and go back to your journalism roots a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, video and audio is definitely the big passion. But I do like writing. No, I am a journalist, so I am. I do quite think that I am a decent writer. So, I do continue with the blog, but mostly for my brand, it's audio and video. Really, that's the thing that I am that I'm most passionate about. And I think it's easier as well to advertise on social media your video and audio. In terms of blogs, you're not going to stick just a few paragraphs of a blog out on social media and say, all right, go read it all here. All you can do is, all right, I did a piece here about so-and-so, give it a read if you want. Whereas with video and audio, you can, clip things out, stick them on social media and say, all right, if you want to go and watch the full thing or listen to the full thing, then here you go. Here's the link. Yeah. So, definitely. I think audio and video is a big thing in terms of growing something. You can easily just get by with a blog, but if you want to grow your brand properly, definitely audio and video is a big thing right now.
And have you considered spending any money on it? Just not necessarily on kit and the behind the scenes, but actually getting it out to more Leeds United fans? Is that something you've looked at, or are you still quite happy with the organic trickle that's coming through?
Yeah, I've not really considered spending money on advertisements. Really, I'm quite content with what's coming through right now. But if there is a point where I do feel as though I need to spend money on maybe a big advertisement for on social media, then we'll definitely consider that. And I'd go to someone like you to try and get some ideas of what's best to do. Yeah, I mean, if you want to avoid spending money on things, then the key is to just keep consistent. Really, I've learned that over the years. In So I launched it in 2017, my channel, and in 2018 I went quiet for about 6 months. Just did a full rebrand of it and relaunched that, which was a good idea, and it took off again. Then I took a hiatus for a month in the middle of this year. Luckily, it didn't affect anything. I was doing a lot of content in July for when Leeds United got promoted, but then I got coronavirus in August, and
oh no, funny.
Yeah, no, well, I'm fine. So, but no, we didn't stick out barely anything in August. No video or audio. It was just pictures online. So so yeah, that kind of taken a hit, and I'm in the I have to regrow it again and get my audience back to watching me. So consistency is so important. I've really learned that consistency is key, very, very key.
You need a co-host so that when one of you can be ill and the other one can keep on going.
Yeah, well, I do have a co-host, but he's not really he's not really a podcaster himself. He's a law student, so but he's my best mate. He's a Leeds United fan, so yeah, I wouldn't change my co-host for the world. But yeah, I have brought other people on who can record video and stuff, so so I've got them doing a few things, but no, definitely. I mean, co-host is something you want when you're podcasting. I don't know how you do these by yourself, Simon. So
I've got a big gob and I can just keep going. And well, Ed, I'm going to let you disappear, but thank you so much for chatting to us. Congratulations on the award. And for anybody who wants to go and check out Ed's podcast, if you're a Leeds United fan, if you're a Leeds United hater, whatever, he doesn't mind. Come and have a watch, come and have a listen. I'll put all the links in the section below after the live is finished, and you can go check him out. And if you run a newspaper, hire him.
Yeah, hire me. I'm free. just go on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on the screen. So go and hire me. I do have a few questions, Simon. Though
sure, go for it. Yeah,
I was thinking, we're talking about podcasting. Might as well ask you a few questions.
Yeah, hit me.
So if you edit one podcast perfectly, get rid of all the ums and ahs, would you recommend editing every episode from then on perfectly just to keep consistency?
So I'm going to err away from what all the podcast experts say. So there's a lot of experts out there who will say your podcast your audio has to be perfect. Take out the ums and the ahs because it makes you sound unprofessional and so on. And there's an element of that is true. Don't get me wrong. If you're sat there and you're like, it could get a bit annoying if somebody's listening to that. So yes, you want to edit out that kind of stuff, but does it need to be perfect every time? No, because we're not perfect as human beings. So the content I put out isn't always perfect, and sometimes I might say the wrong thing or what. But that's just to err is to human, as they say. And yeah, I'm not a fan. It's nice to have that perfect audio. But if you do listen to some of the big podcasters, the Joe Rogan of the world, the Jack Mates, the Gary Vaynerchuks, the Mel Robbins, they're not perfect audio. You don't listen to them and not hear them maybe stumble over the words slightly or make a mistake or say an or an air. So those things are nice to remove, but it's a lot of hard work. You do a 1 hour podcast, for example, like the other day, I did that video with Alan. He came on last Wednesday. We talked about YouTube for 1 hour and 7 minutes. If I went through that and removed every and it would take me hours. So even as an editor, and I class myself as a fairly skilled editor, it would take me a long time to go through and edit that audio and make it sound right so that it didn't jump and glitch. Nobody's got time for that. You're trying to build a brand, you're trying to build a business. So no, absolutely not. It doesn't. If you've done it once, you don't have to do it every single time, but it's a nice to have. If you go, you know what, I've got a spare few hours, just do it. And it's a nice to have. You probably won't notice any difference in the retention or the number of listens that you get or the number of views if it's a video, because they're there for the value that you've got to give. They're there to listen to you talk passionately about Leeds United. They're there to listen to me talk passionately about social media and video. They're not there to go, oh, this dickhead's just gone 7 times in a 30-minute podcast. It doesn't matter to people at all. I don't think so. If you get further down the line and you've got millions of pounds to spend and you go, you know what, I'll have a team who will edit this for me every time. Fine, yeah, go ahead and do it. But right now, most of the people I'm talking to right now on this live and yourself, we're small, solopreneurs perhaps, and you just don't have the time to do that. You're trying to step away from doing too much social media and concentrating on it too much. So yeah, I don't think it's essential.
Yeah. Is that something you do though? If someone wanted their podcast edited, would they be able to go to you? And
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we can do it. But I class myself as a bit more of an honest marketeer. So I will tell people what they need to hear and what they need to have. So if somebody's absolutely adamant, then we'll do it. But I'll probably try and push them away from doing it because it seems silly because obviously I'm turning down work, but as a business, but I'd much rather they were creating regular content and not worrying about that perfection. If you get somebody out of that mindset of perfection, then they're going to start creating more, get themselves into a business as a position where they can actually do more, and then hire an agency to help them with that, perhaps. But yeah, perfection's just not important. I don't think it's as long as the value's in there, as long as that passion's in there. The amount of times you've gone to a talk and somebody's just been dull as dishwater because they're not actually passionate about what they're doing. It's making them some money.
Definitely passion is definitely the way forward. I can easily, if I log onto a video or a podcast, and I can easily tell if someone's passionate about the subject or not. And if you're not passionate, then I'm not going to listen at all. It's nice to have nice equipment like microphones, but yeah, honestly, just passion and being able to talk about it for a long time. That's definitely definitely a big thing. If someone's wanting to, do you have any tips on perhaps being braver to hand stuff over to an editor if you're wanting video and a podcast edited? Because for me, I edit stuff because, one, I want it to look good, but also I'm not really like that confident with handing just raw footage over to an editor. I mean, I'm not confident in just handing over raw footage to an editor and letting them, crack on with it. So have you got any tips for that?
I think it's a case of just saying, right, we're going to bite the bullet and do it, and just pay once or twice or what have you. A good example, George Benson. So George had never had anybody edit his content before. And basically we just said, look, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to edit your FIFA videos. And it was a learning curve for both of us. I was like, look, George, I've never done it before. I am a good editor, but I've never done that type of content before. I'm going to need you to steer me in the right direction a little bit. And as long as you've got an editor who's open to advice and criticism, and that's really important. You've got to be open to criticism because it's not going to necessarily be perfect straight away. But so with George, he was like, okay, can you change this? Oh, my camera in picture wasn't in the same place. Can you make sure that it's in the same place? Okay, yeah, not a problem. I'll make sure I've got marking so that I know it's in the same position every single time. And I had 4 different camera positions for it to be picture in picture and full size and all that kind of stuff. So it's a learning curve for both sides. And I think as long as you go into it that way, thinking this might not be perfect the first time, but they've seen enough of my content to get an idea of what it needs to be like. And that's another thing, is you need to make sure they've seen your content. It's not just, yes, I'll take the work, and they've never seen a thing that you do. They need to understand what your brand is, who you are, how you present, all that kind of stuff. As long as they've got that background enough, then it's just going into it open-minded of, it probably won't be perfect the first time, but definitely dive in there, give it a go, be open to paying, and just be open to the fact of, I'm trying this out. Simon, I'm trying this out, but I'm also trying it out with a couple of other editors, and I'm going to see who I work the best with. And then don't get me wrong, I'm still going to pay you for your time, but it might not be an ongoing basis. But one person out of the 3 is going to win a year's contract or something. And that way you're getting to see how different people work as well, because you don't know how I work. You watch my content, you like that, you like me, but you still might not like how I work. So that's how I would approach it, is remove yourself from the product a little bit, and well, I can do it perfect because that's what I want, and go, right, okay, let's see what they can bring to it, and also have somebody who's open to being that little bit of criticism.
Yeah, brilliant. And one last question about podcasting. Podcast logos and artwork. If people are launching a podcast, they may be thinking, oh, what needs to go in it? What do I need to do? What tips do you have for what goes in the podcast logo and artwork? What's so important about it? How important is it? And I mean, would you recommend going to graphics designers to get it done, or just having a crack yourself?
There are things you can do yourself. It's a bit of 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Do you have the budget? Try to err away from things like Fiverr if you possibly can do, unless you're paying for the higher end kind of stuff. Definitely stay away from Bark. I'm not a big fan of Bark and that kind of platform. Basically, it depends on what the podcast's about. In your case, there's you and there's your co-host and there's Leeds United. So you kind of want to treat it the same way as you would a YouTube thumbnail. And this is something I've been so lazy with doing myself in the past, and I've started doing that a lot more now, which is why I've got specifically designed thumbnails, which I've designed myself, but putting those out. So basically I would say give it a go. Put yourself in there, put your co-host in there. Faces always perform nicely and really, really well. It's also gives that personal connection between the people who are looking for content, but make it obvious that it's Leeds United. So either have a background that is yellow and blue and white, or have the Leeds United badge somewhere within the logo that is easy to see, and make sure that it's just really obvious what it is that you're there to talk about. And what I would recommend is having that as your specific logo, but then having something designed slightly similar, but that you could bastardize that, then you could use as a social media piece of content where you can put the subject matter in about what each podcast is about. So you have your standardized one on SoundCloud or wherever you post your podcast, which is then feeding out to all these other channels. But then you have specific ones that you could come onto Twitter and go, hi, we've got our latest podcast today talking about the opening of the Premiership season and how Leeds United are faring up. And that then could have like a thumbnail, an image that would draw people into that content, and you could put that onto Facebook and you could put that onto TikTok or onto YouTube communities, which was something I'd completely ignored for such a long time and I was told off for doing the other day. So I've got to get myself onto that. So I would say have that one standardized one, and then have something you can bastardize that you can change that will draw people into the content specifically. Because obviously when you've got it on your podcast, it doesn't change per episode. On iTunes, I have my face, basically. I do need to change it. But on iTunes, I have my face, and it's my face on SoundCloud, and it's my face on Spreaker, and it's my face on Spotify. And that's it. If I put a different thumbnail into SoundCloud, which is my feeder channel for all the other platforms, it doesn't change the thumbnail then to something different on those channels. So you need some way of drawing people into that content on other platforms, as well as having your faces up on. You've got to be happy to stick your faces out there, basically, and just have something designed and just give it a go yourself. I mean, you can't go wrong. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But definitely give it a go yourself. Use platforms like remove.bg where it'll give you a PNG version, like I did with the one that I did of you today. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up to show it. So give me 1 second. Where are we? Here we go. So this was if it's going to open, come on. My computer's really slow. So this was the thumbnail I came up with for today, to chat with yourself. And here we go, share screen in a second. In your own time. Come on. This is riveting TV, isn't it? Right. So this was the one that I came up with today. And I literally asked Ed to send me a photograph. I took that photograph, dropped it into a template that I have, and there we have it. That's me chatting to, or me advertising the fact I'm going to chat to Ed. So you could have something like that where you could delete the image of yourself, put your co-host in there or what have you, and you could have that standardized one, and then you could have one that you could bastardize that would say what the episode's about each time, so you can push that out.
Yeah, brilliant.
Does that help?
That's very useful. Thank you very much for.
It was a bit convoluted answer, but hopefully.
Yeah, no, I've took that all on board. Thank you very much for that. Also, podcast descriptions. Just one final thing. Podcast descriptions. If you're putting the podcast on YouTube, should the YouTube description be the same as the podcast description? Do you think, or what should go in a podcast description?
Yeah, absolutely. So you obviously need a good title. You need to describe what the content's going to be about. You need to explain who you are and who your co-host is and what your background is, what your passions are, all that kind of give an insight into yourselves. Then the links need to be in there. And it's the same pretty much with all platforms. You want people to be able to click them. So on YouTube and on SoundCloud and everywhere else, put http:// beforehand. It's a pain in the arse, but the link is not clickable if you just go www. It's got to have that in there. Put some contact details in there as well, because obviously you want people to come and be on the podcast in the future. So you could put in, want to be on the podcast? Email ed@leedspodcast.co.uk, or whatever your email address would be for it, and people can then get in touch and try to be on it. So yeah, your description's hugely important, just like meta tagging, metadata, all that kind of stuff on YouTube, as well as, like I said, whatever other platform you use. I use SoundCloud, and SoundCloud give you that opportunity to put in metadata. If they're giving you that potential to do something, it was a bit like Alan said last week, do it. Some stuff is more powerful than others, but definitely use all the tools that are there at your disposal, because they're just going to help you get your content out there further.
Yeah, will do. All right, thank you very much. That's that. I'll take that all on board. That was very useful, Simon. Thank you very much.
Grant, no worries. Excellent. Well, thanks ever so much for popping on and joining us.
No worries. It's been a blast.
Good stuff. And stay safe. And go and listen to his podcast. Go and check him out.
Yeah, go on, do it.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot, Ed. Take care, mate.
You too.
So there you go. Having a chat with Ed. Let's have a quick peek, see if we've got any questions popped in. Here we go. We've got one from Juan KZZ. I'm thinking of starting a podcast, but have no idea what niche I should choose. Find your passion is all I would say, Juan. Is you've got to find your passion. What is it that you love doing? What is it that you've got a real passion for? Are you into athletics? Are you into football? Are you into conkers? Are you into marbles? Are you into books? Are you into comic characters? Whatever it is that you have that huge passion about, start creating a podcast about that. Don't expect millions of people to come and listen straight away, but make sure you're letting people know all about it. But talk about your passion. Talk about what it is that you care about. I talk about social media and video because I care about it. I've thought massively about bringing back a podcast I used to do about track and field called Out the Blocks, and I'm thinking more so about that and bringing that back because I'm a huge passion about track and field and athletics and being a former athlete. I want to talk about that. So what is your passion, Juan? That's all I want you to do is think about, scribble down some ideas. What is your passion? And go, right, okay, yeah, I like this, I like that, I like the other. And then what would you like to create content about? Well, it's that one right there. Circle it and create content about that. That's what your passion is. Far better off creating content about something you give a shit about than creating content about something that you're just creating content because you've seen it trending and you know it's going to perform well, because you're going to get bored, you're not going to enjoy creating that content. The audience are going to sense that as well, and you're going to end up in a situation where you're creating content you don't care about to an audience who aren't there, and you're just going to stop. But if you're creating content about something you're passionate about, you're going to be more willing to keep going, keep pushing through. Just like Ed. He just keeps pushing through. He's got a passion about Leeds United, and so he keeps creating that content about Leeds United because he wants to talk about it. He's happy to step in front of the microphone with his co-host and chat about Leeds United because that's their passion. So find your passion and talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Okay, right, we've been going for nearly 40 minutes. I need to go and get some lunch before I have a meeting this afternoon. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. There have been some other questions that have come in. I will hit those on Friday, I promise. I don't know what time I will be live on Friday because obviously it is Daddy Daycare Day. So he'll be asleep at some point and then I will go live. But until then, thank you very much for watching. If you're brand new, please do hit the subscribe button, whatever platform you're watching on. Make sure you go and check out Ed's stuff as well. I'm going to put the links to all of his stuff in the section below on every single channel that you're watching on right now: Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'll put all these details out there so you can go and take a look, especially if you're a Leeds United fan. And until Friday, as always, please continue to stay safe. Have a good one.